Evening folks. Okay, so today I just want to have a quick look around this update to SSL 360 console and the integration with Studio One, which is what I'm using. I'm guessing it's the same for a lot of DAWs. I'm sure it is, but it's made a bit of a difference for me with Studio One, which has made me want to use it a little bit more. So I'm going to just show you quickly what the changes are and what I think is good and possibly minor improvements that could be, but I think they're doing improvements all the time. So let's get into it. So I've got the SSL set up here now, and obviously it reflects everything in my Studio One in as much as now they've got the color strips in. You can see I'm using the light green one at the moment, which is Easy Drummer. That's the one I'm going to use for the example today. It's safe to say that to use this properly, you need to have the SSL channel strip on every single track that you have in your DAW, if you want it to show up. Otherwise it won't show up in the SSL console. Let's get straight into what the differences are now, that to me anyway. I've only just done the update a few days ago, and I'm not an SSL expert, but let's just see where we are. So you can see on my SSL side here, I've got my faders, and I've got my normal stuff, and I've got my EQ section open at the top here. Now, the first thing to notice is they've now got collapsible menus on the left-hand side here. So I can collapse this EQ down. So we've got next to nothing in here except the faders. I can actually get rid of the faders as well if I want. Let's get the faders back up because there's a few things we want to look at there. The EQ in this instance just fits nicely on my screen just there. So I've got all the EQ stuff at this level because there's something else I'm going to show you in a minute which is pretty cool. Let's collapse the EQ. Let's open up the sends. So we've now got 8 sends per channel available to us, which correspond with your DAW. In my case, I've got a reverb send on 1 and a delay send on 2. And I've got my reverb small here, and I've got my delay coming back on here into channels. Now, again, I've had to put the SSL channel strip on those returns, on those augs, because if I don't, I won't see them in here. And I want to be able to see them. And whether this is the end result, I don't know, but this is how I like to set it up. And we'll go through the sends in a second. So we've done the EQ, that's there. Filter, we can open and close. Dynamics, we can open and close. And our input, trim, and phase switch, we can open and close. There's some other options at the top here, which some has been here, some are not always. So your auto select, which means when you go left and right on your channels, they select the same as your DAW. Auto scroll, which is when you scroll like this, left and right when you're on the fader section, and when you're in this section it goes up and down. Transport control, you can show or you can't show. Again, if you want that to link to your DAW, certainly to Studio One, there are a few settings you have to change. That's in another video I've done about this, the previous one I did. And the colours, so you can turn the colour strips on or off if you want them to reflect the colours in your DAW. That's pretty straightforward. We've also got another really good feature here, which is something that every plugin manufacturer needs to get a grip on, the zoom feature. So let's just open up the EQ again, because this is one. Let's get rid of the faders a second. So this is pretty much default now. If we click overview, it goes to about the smallest it's going to go, and that fits quite a lot of information on there. Now for me, you can see where you are, that's fine, but to operate it properly, for me, it's a little bit small. If you had the hardware, the SSL hardware controller, that might be fine. You can still see it. Or if you've got a massive screen, it might be good. For my eyes and for this screen, for my 24-inch screens, it's a little bit small. So what we can do now, we can go to default again. If we right-click on default, we've got now 100%, 125, 150, 175, 200. We can expand this. And again, like so. Now we can have a really big view of our EQ section. We can really see what we're doing. Now that is really cool. While we're on here, I'll just show you this while it's up big like this. If you alter any of these parameters with the mouse as I'm using, because I don't have the hardware controller, if you press Alt on the Mac and click it, they return to 0. Okay, any of these. Now that is really cool, although I'd like to see a complete channel 0 reset somewhere. I don't think you can do that. If anybody knows if that's possible, let me know, because that would be good. Again, I'm going to go back to this default position and put it back to 100. that's good enough for this example. In the overview, again, you've got some percentages in there, so you can make it really tiny like that. Anything up to that big in overview. So again, in 50%, it's pretty small. There's a lot of information on there. Far too tiny for me. If we show I can't even see the arrows to open up the other things. I'm going to go back to default. That's my my best position for this. Let's open up the faders again. And let's get rid of this. So this is what I'm looking at generally. I want to pull this over to here because I want to be able to see this. I'm going to use this channel strip here for Easy Drummer for my little example here. So what we've got now, we've got plugin mode here on the bottom left, and we've got DAW mode. In plugin mode, this generally controls just your plugin parameters when you've got it open. The DAW mode is now linked to my DAW. So if I alter my fader, I'm using the Presonus fader port, but I'm guessing any hardware fader controller will do. If I alter this up and down now, you can see on the green on my DAW it's going up and down, and also on the SSL it's going up and down. If I switch this to plugin mode, that doesn't happen. Moves on my DAW, doesn't move on the SSL. If I pull it right down on the DAW, then switch back to DAW, it's gone down to the bottom. So it does reflect it in that way. We've also got our pan control. As you can see, selects the pan, follows the pan. Our mute operates mute, solo operates solo, and so on. We don't have any other functions here such as record or anything like that because we don't really need them on here. That's about as much as it reflects in the sense of if I operate it on the DAW, it operates it on here. But that is really cool. The fader sync wasn't happening before, and I like the idea of that. That works for me. So let's just get quickly into a couple of other things. I'm going to play a drum loop, which I've got, which I think I've altered the dynamics on it quite a lot just to give it something so you can see. So let's just play it. Pull the ratio and the threshold down on the dynamics, whack it all the way up. You know, I like to play with some of these parameters full 100% for a while just to get the idea. So I'm going to leave this set pretty hot up here just for this example. I quite like it. Pull the threshold back a bit. Okay, so we can see that clearly works. We've obviously got our level at the top up here as well. So I'm not going to play with the dynamics anymore. I can close that. Oops, get rid of that. Close dynamics. Filter. Let's just try filter, see what happens. There we go. It works. Let's go to the EQ and just quickly whiz through that. You can see I had to alt and click every single parameter there to get that back to 0. One button click to 0 would have been really good just to reset the whole channel. And I just want to quickly look at the sends. Let's open up the sends. Now you can see I've got 2 sends set up here on 1 and 2, like I said earlier. I've got them, one going to reverb, one going to my echo boy. Let's just play that again. Again, you can see the reverb coming back in the reverb channel here. I'll do the delay. Again, you can see the delay coming back over here. So I've got full control over the delay. I can pan it. The width button, I could use it if I want. Width controller. Obviously, that's not in DAW, but it's cool. It works. Let's just put both of them on, reverb and delay. So there you go. I like the way it works. I can see myself working in the SSL module quite a bit in the console, I think, because of the way I can open and close things for starters. So I can work solely on the EQ, solely on the dynamics, solely on the sends if I wanted to. If I close that down, I'm only looking at the sends now, pretty much. There is another little one here, by the way, track. I'm not fully conversant with, to be honest. I can A/B stuff in the plugin. Some other features down here which I'm not fully conversant with at the moment. So I'm not going to try and tell you what that does. I like the sends. I like the link ups. I like the fact that I can control almost everything from here. It's made me want to put my effects, certain reverbs and delays on auxiliary channels rather than directing to the track in the send in the track, or an insert or something like that, which I can still do, and I have done in the past, but it's made me want to use sends a lot more. It actually made me get half interested in getting the SSL hardware controller with the EQ on it and such like, because I think flicking across the channels and using that would be quite user friendly in conjunction with my fader port for doing the actual mix. I quite like it. A couple of things that could have been done better. Yeah, a one-hit channel reset would be good. Possibly trying to tell us what the sends are doing, some sort of labeling, but again, you wouldn't get this on an analog console. That would be it. So I guess that's just the way it is. There's an issue going on with white in the colours for me on Studio One. This has come up white on here in my main out because my main fader in Studio One is white. However, if I try and select white on any other channel, it doesn't work. So I don't know what's going on there. If I take this reverb here, go over here to my colours and select white, you see this hasn't changed. Any other colour, it changes. You can see it there. But white, black it does. White, it doesn't. It's gone to blue for some reason. And again, I have had the thing sort of crash a little bit now and again on the odd occasion. It's kind of just gone a bit lost to sync a little bit. One last thing is that the plugin, if I just bring it over here, now I've got this pinned here. You can see I've got it pinned, but every time I touch anything on here, it disappears, which is really frustrating, and I never quite know how to get it back. So I don't know why. If I alter stuff on here, obviously we've got no send on here. If we just open up the EQ again and open up the plugin again quickly, if I alter anything on the EQ here, you can see it alters it. Oh, well, that's dynamics. If I alter anything, it alters it in here, which is fine. Maybe it's because maybe I need to be in plugin mode. Let's just try that. So again, the fader now is doing this. Pan is still doing that. If I click on here, yeah, disappears again. I'm not sure that's supposed to happen. I mean, I'm surely I want to have the plugin open so I can see what I'm doing in here to reflect it. Maybe I'll get onto SSL about that, or Presonus. I'm not sure. But anyway, there we go. I really like it, and I'm going to definitely look at trying to pick up SSL hardware controller for the EQ side of things. There's a couple of improvements, like I say. Anything you think of that I've missed or I'm glaringly obvious not getting into, please let me know so I can look at that. Okay, guys. Thanks for watching. If you feel like subscribing, like the channel, all that sort of business, that'd be great. Give us a bit more chance to get some more stuff out there.